Hey, so this is keeping in the track of martial arts, boxing, but also MMA. And it's going to be a contentious subject that I'm talking about. So I would ask that, if nothing else, you at least hear out what I have to say before rushing to judgment, because very often on these things, people think they know someone's the entire context or whatever without listening to the whole video. So I'll try not to make it too long. But basically, I want to talk about the subject of women in martial arts because I've come across a piece on CNN about Ronda Rousey. I believe that's the right pronunciation. She's probably the best known female martial artist in the world. I think that's a fair statement. Very famous person. She was recently featured on the back of Time magazine in an interview, and this article was controversially saying that she's the best MMA fighter in the world or UFC fighter in the world. Very mixed opinions underneath. Some people were saying, like, going along with that, largely women, some guys as well. Others are saying it's ridiculous. So I want to talk about this, but also my general thoughts on women in martial arts. And if you are a woman who does martial arts, well, you probably won't like what I'm going to say, but I don't want you to misunderstand it, so I would ask you to please watch to the end of the video. Um, Okay, so this is the thing. I've always been absolutely egalitarian. So what do we mean by that? We mean equal opportunity. So in terms of women being allowed to do martial arts, my position is absolutely they should be allowed to. It's so long as they're healthy adults and they pass all the medicals, etc. They should be allowed the same opportunity as men. I don't believe pregnant women should be allowed to do it incidentally because that clearly isn't safe. But I think that women who are healthy, free willing, and are free thinking adults, they should have absolutely every right to do it. But by the way, the reason I mentioned the pregnancy thing is because I did hear a few years ago about an athlete who was pregnant and she wanted to go ahead with the fight. Now, it's no crime to be pregnant, and it's no crime, like I say, to want to take the opportunities. But clearly, it's irresponsible to go into a fight in that condition. No, that should not be controversial. It should be straightforward. But you know, I feel this is one of those issues that we've got to a point where any dissenting voice is immediately shut down and slammed as sexist, or anyone who dares voice a different opinion is immediately castigated as a weak little man who doesn't like powerful women, this sort of thing. You hear this time and time again. I can't say too much about Ronda Rousey because I haven't seen many of her fights. But then again, I don't follow UFC. Well, I barely follow it at all. I mostly watch boxing. The number one rated female fighter in the world of boxing is Norwegian Cecilia Brackhaus. Now, say the name Cecilia Brackhaus to an average boxing fan, there's a strong chance they won't know who she is. But she's the number one rated female fighter in the world, in boxing, that is. Ronda Rousey is obviously much more famous, which could indicate the competition that the UFC has given boxing in the last 10, 20 years, or it could indicate that UFC is better at marketing women. I don't know what it is. Or it could be that UFC female martial artists are much better than their boxing counterparts. But there's a few issues I want to tackle. Firstly, this sweeping statement that Ronda Rousey could be any male fighter. Now, like I said, I haven't seen a great deal of UFC, but I've seen enough to know what it's about. Um, I think it's a statement on the grounds that there's no way to ever test that because, as far as I know, at present there's no mixed male-female fights. I don't believe there should be either. But that would be the only way to really know for certain. The only way would be to put her up against the best male UFC fighter. I don't even know who that is because, like I said, I don't follow the sport. But that would be the only way to truly tell. Now, I've argued this point before that for male, he's losing either way, and this is why. I'm not talking about in terms of who raises their hand at the end of the fight. I'm talking about from an ethical perspective, from the fallout from it. If a man gets into a fight with a woman and uses his full strength, I don't care how tough she is, the average man is stronger than the average woman. It's not sexism, it's science, okay? So common sense dictates that the best male UFC fighter is likely to be going to outmatch Ronda Rousey. In the end of the day, she's a woman. She's a very tough woman. She's a hell of a fighter. And yes, she could beat many, many average men. But other trained MMA fighters, that's a subject of debate. Maybe she could. I could be completely wrong. Maybe she could. But the bottom line is the only way you would find out is in a mixed fight. And I just think it's common sense that the average man is stronger than the average woman. So if you get the best man versus the best woman, again, it's likely that the best man is going to beat the best woman. This is not sexism. It's just not. It's just science. It's just a fact of life. Now, like I said, there's a problem for the man. If he uses his full strength and wins, and I'm not just talking about Ronda Rousey, I'm talking about any other fighter here. Um, he will be denounced as the thug who beat a woman. Okay, and if he doesn't, if he doesn't use his full force against her, then he is denounced as he's ridiculed. Oh, you were beaten up by a girl. So either way, the man is going to get a bad reputation. Uh, the only way there would be a sort of no fallout is if it was a draw, which is highly unlikely because in a big fight, no one wants to see a draw. So I think I've not much time for women fighters who call out men because they know this. They know the situation a man would face. If he uses his full strength and wins, he's a thug who beats women. If he doesn't, then he's ridiculed. That's the reality, and I think common sense shows that's the reality. Now, that's one issue. Another issue is there is political correctness around this, and a lot of the time, actually, it's coming from other men. If you're a guy who doesn't like female martial arts, likely the people who will shame you or try to shout you down, it's not actually women. Very often it's other men who are fans of it. Well, I've this to say to those guys. By all means, you be a fan of that sport. You follow women's fighting, enjoy it, whatever. But don't talk down to other men. Don't dismiss other guys simply because they don't like it. I'm going to say here and now, I am not a fan of seeing women beat each other up. I'm just not, and I doubt I ever will be. Does that mean I don't support their right to do it? No. But you know what? You can support something in this world without being massively enthusiastic about it. And I'm sick and tired of this idea that if you dare voice a dissenting opinion, then, well, in the case of this subject, you're dismissed as a sexist pig who doesn't like powerful women. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the fact that some men still appreciate femininity. Now, to me, I just don't like watching women beat each other up. It's not about whether they can or not. So, this is the thing. When this point is made, you get idiots coming on and saying, "Oh, she can beat your ass." Well, I've no doubt that Ronda Rousey could beat my ass. Why? Because she's a professional athlete who trains every day, who makes a living from this. At the moment, I'm Joe Average. So of course she could kick my ass. But that really, really isn't the point. And they fail to notice that they use that as if, I'm talking about those who defend this, use that as if it somehow wins the argument. It doesn't. In fact, that is completely overriding the the reason why a lot of people don't like this. And it isn't just men. There's a lot of other women out there who don't like to see it. I just feel that we're going down a path whereby it's kind of like forcing people to accept something. Now, it's different if people are calling for it to be banned because that would be a civil rights issue. It would be discrimination because if you're an egalitarian, then you have to agree that women should be given the same opportunities as men. But what I'm saying is that people have absolutely every right to like it, or dislike it. And for those who don't like it, you know what? That's that's absolutely fine. Why should people be silenced? Or, I mean, put it this way: not everyone likes male boxing. Um, but it's live and let live. There's a lot of people who say, "Oh, it's a violent sport, it's thuggish, etc." I'm talking about male boxing here. But and a lot of those people would say, "Ban it." Now, as a fan of boxing, um, I don't agree with them, but I respect their opinion. I respect their right not to like the sport. So what I'm saying is, people who defend women's martial arts and who are really enthusiastic about it need to respect the right of those who don't like it, that have that opinion. Now, if people are coming out with sexist comments, derogatory comments, yeah, that's fine. Get into a debate about that. But what I'm talking about just here is the basics about it. Now, I've heard, I think it was Nicola Adams said that boxing can be feminine. With all due respect to Nicola Adams, that is just no. Just boxing will never ever be feminine. It is what it is. It is a tough, brutal, challenging sport. It's not feminine. It's just not. And to say that it is disingenuous, that doesn't mean that women can't do it, because femininity and masculinity are not necessarily, they're not connected with men and women directly. They're more connected to the right to describe something. So describing boxing as feminine, it can be, it can take certain. I guess there's a beauty in the skill involved, and when you see historic fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson, and you get a certain craft, and I can understand the elegance of that. But let's not gloss over what this is. It is a brutal, tough sport. Um, Basically, what I'm trying to say here is I'm fed up with the political correctness around this. People can support a woman's right to take part, but not enjoy it itself. I'm not a fan of women's fighting, and I believe that I have the right to a free expression to say that. There is a reason why boxing magazines only have one or two or three pages on women's boxing. The simple fact is, it does not have the same appeal. It just doesn't. Um, the world of MMA may be different, but in boxing, it just doesn't have the same appeal. Um, that's no disrespect to the women taking part. They work just as hard as the men. They train really hard in the gym. But sometimes what you cannot do in this world is force people to like something. Yes, you can insist on equal treatment. Yes, you can insist on opposing discrimination. What you can't do is force people to like something. Um, and that really is the principle here. Um, I'm not taking anything away from the efforts that female athletes put into this. So this is in no way a sexist opinion. It's just my personal opinion that I don't like to see it. Because I don't like to see women get beaten either by men or by other women. I just don't like it. And I, I, I believe in celebrating the differences between men and women. Now, to me, when women take part in martial arts, that's it's not feminine at all. Um, Does that mean, I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm not saying they might have a lovely personality, whatever. But I'm just being honest here. I don't like it. And the problem is, it's very, very, very difficult for anyone to say that nowadays, because if you do, you're immediately branded as sexist, a dinosaur, you know, and like I say, this thing about, oh, she can kick your ass, that is not the point. It really isn't the point. Um, Now, I know there's sexism out there. I know there are guys who will be very derogatory about women taking part, and that's wrong. But all I'm saying is you need to respect the right of those who don't like it. And it isn't just men. There's a lot of women who don't like it either. Um, I just believe we should celebrate the differences between men and women, not force people to accept this politically correct idea that because women are doing a sort of masculine thing, then that somehow qualifies them as outstanding, wonderful women. It's they I appreciate their right to do it, but I'm not a fan. and I never will be. Um, Incidentally, regarding Ronda Rousey, I've heard fans say that she's arrogant and cocky, so there's that as well. Just like I don't like male boxers who go on like that. If that's true, then I can't imagine I would warm to her personality very much. There's other female fighters who I'm sure are lovely people, and just like the male sports, I'm sure you get different characters. Let me know your thoughts on this. Again, to be absolutely clear, I'm not saying anything against the right to do it, but I'm saying that there are certain things that, at the end of the day, men and women are different. And I don't believe that Ronda Rousey would beat the best man in the world. I just don't believe that. A lot of people, incidentally, are saying, "Oh, let's see Ronda Rousey fight Floyd Mayweather." A few problems with that. Number one, they're different sports. It's UFC and boxing. They're around the same weight, as far as I know. I know where this comes from because Floyd Mayweather has a record of violence against women, so obviously this is for her to make a point, but it's never going to happen. So people should just drop it. Floyd Mayweather is not my favorite person in the world, but it's a stupid thing because that is never going to happen. Um, and incidentally, if mixed matches were ever to happen in boxing, I would probably abandon the sport because, frankly, I think that would be perverse. There, said it to me. Let me know your thoughts. I'd especially like to hear if you're female, and if you agree with me, please do say so because I do suspect that there's a lot of women who agree, but because of the feminist logic of if you're a woman, you have to be strong and independent, and basically any woman who disagrees, then she shames women. Just fed up with it. Really. Hey, thanks for watching.